Western stand-up comedy has emerged as a popular form of entertainment in China in recent years. We've been wondering how Chinese audiences are taking it. Do they like this foreign style of comedy? Does it appeal to the Chinese sense of humor? To get more insight into this, I'm happy to be joined by Tony Chou, a stand-up comedian and also co-founder of Humor Section, a comedy club in Beijing. Tony, thank you very much for joining me today.
Yeah, glad to see you again, Xin.
See me again. Have you seen me before?
Yeah, I see you on screen a lot.
Okay, good to see you for the first time though. We know that you have been an English teacher. You also worked in the media. How did it get started that you became a comedian?
Right, I mean, everybody needs laugh. I mean, laughter is a universal language, right? People have some pressure in work and life, and they're gonna find some escape. I mean, comedy or stand-up comedy specifically is a good escape for people, because it's all related to things that you experience, your own perspective of the world. It's actually a bunch of expats in Beijing and opened a comedy club. It's actually an open mic a few years ago, and we go to like a comedy club. It's a bar, and to tell jokes of 5 minutes of yourself, you write it yourself, and then by accident I saw them, and then after, oh, that's funny, and then I'd like to join them. And also, I mean, Joe Wang, a stand-up comedian, originally from China, got a little bit viral in the United States. I saw that, oh, that's funny. It's just like simple as people talking about your own stuff, and then make people laugh, and that's easy. I love to do that.
Is it so simple?
Yeah, it appears simple, but actually once you did it, it's fun. Wow, oh my God, that's so challenging.
Yeah, how do you come up with your jokes? I mean, okay, you do it both in English and in Chinese, right? But I'm more interested in the English jokes that you do. For instance, when you perform to a group of audience in Ireland or in the United States, how do you prepare? What's the process?
Well, actually, you can't, like as a stand-up comedian, you mainly talk about yourself, your perspective about the world, and that's all. I mean, most of the audience expect to know about. They're curious about your world, your insight, your take. But you can't just cater to everybody. So you just talk about your things that you experience. You hopefully you'll resonate with people who understand. Like when you travel abroad and perform to them, you have to relate to the local audience well, which means the reference is a little bit different. Like sometimes, like me as a stand-up comedian from China, which they haven't seen before, I guess. So they have little knowledge of what the Chinese really like. And you know what's funny about that is even after my performance, there's a Q&A section asking about what China is like. Right? Do everybody ride bicycles? No, come on.
So you're an ambassador of China in a way, but in a comedian
I guess in
outfit.
a good way.
In a good way, yeah, I'm sure. But you know, every time you can make people laugh, their hearts open up to you, right? I mean, but how do you come up? How do you share your experience? Yeah, how do you write, for instance, with a group of people in Ireland? What jokes did you tell? How did
I mean, just make fun of them, and they love to be made fun of. I mean, stand-up comedy is like something. You always talk about something that's edgy. You always give the audience a push, and they love that. So, like when I was in Ireland, I'll definitely joke about myself. I often open by the line as, "Oh, my name is Tony Chou, and I was made in China."
And they laugh.
Yeah, and there's laughter because they know everything was made in China. And also, I stepped into the bar in Ireland because I don't know the local culture. That I've never been to Ireland before. Then I said, I don't know about the local culture, but I think everybody is drunk now. And then there's a laughter, and that definitely related to them well. And also, yeah, they do. I mean, they do. They really enjoy drinking a lot. You even open a door of a bar, you step into, and you see a notice, this slogan on the wall of the bar, which is, if you drink to forget, please pay in advance.
Yeah, that's funny. So you make up your jokes and you prepare your jokes, of course, but you also have to see how the audience react, and you adapt and you improvise. Is that how it goes?
We have a lot of jokes in our mind, but we don't know which jokes works well for every single performance, because every performance differs from one to another.
Sure.
So especially when you travel abroad, and you don't know much about the local audience. So you try to open by something that you think is safe, and you see a big laughter, and you keep going with that. And sometimes you just do things improvise and do crowd work with people. You really talk with people, asking them questions and giving them a kick. But if it doesn't go well, and they just try to think about other jokes that may go well. So it's always intensified way of doing this kind of performances.
So when you were performing in a Western country, how curious was the audience towards you as a comedian or as a Chinese?
Yeah, they could see me from the appearance that I'm not American-born Chinese. I'm a real Chinese.
100% made in China.
Yeah, I'm made in China. And they were curious about, like, they think it is impossible. They think even stand-up comedy is impossible in China. Because in their mind, I see the stand-up comedian on stage talking about, in some developing countries, people don't have an idea of what stand-up comedy is. They just think that they just talk, right? That nothing amazing happens on stage. But, when they see me, they say, oh, man, you're from China, right? So, yeah, I'm from China. So what part? And I say, oh, I'm from Beijing. Oh, Beijing, that's great, but I don't know where Beijing is. So could you please tell me what's the time difference between New York City and Beijing? I think for a while and tell them, 21 years.
What do you mean? Why 21 years?
It's a different way of thinking. We're not talking about 12 hours or 10 hours, 8 hours. I'm talking about 21 years. So that's something that they didn't expect.
Was there an embarrassing moment? I mean, it's risky because you go out there, you stand and you experiment on the audience, right? Whether it's whether your jokes are successful, are funny, or whether your jokes are not funny. Are there moments where you say, oops, that was not good, let's turn immediately? Are there experiences like that?
Right, definitely. You have a lot of things. Because like performing in English to the world audience, I mean, there are some aspects in China, because that's a different audience from the real world audience in their own countries. Because the expat audience in China know China well, or at least know China a bit.
Sure.
We are living in the same country at the moment.
Yeah.
So we can always talk about China things as a good relation, as a good, well related to them. But when you travel abroad, you can't just assume that people know much about China. As I said, there's even a Q&A section after the performance asking that what's China like?
We Chinese do we have a different sense of humor as the foreigners?
Actually, we don't.
We don't.
We don't even have a sense of humor.
We don't have a sense of humor.
We do. I mean, that's one of the stereotypes of Chinese people. People will often think, oh, Chinese people are stone-faced, right? They don't relate to the strangers well.
Is it true?
I think it's somewhat true, but the culture is different. One is like you know them well, you personally know them, you're drawn with this hospitality. But you don't know somebody on the street. We don't even say hi, but like in the lift or in the same room. Yeah. That's a different culture. I mean, it's not specifically Chinese culture. It's probably the Asian culture. They think
it takes a bit longer to warm up to people.
Right.
But in trying to entertain a foreign audience or trying to entertain a Chinese audience, is there a difference? That is my question. What is your impression? In China, we have the crosstalks. We have Chinese comedian shows.
Right.
We have a lot of different styles.
I mean, to me, that's too much different things. Like Chinese comedy. I mean, also the traditional Chinese comedy is more about, or what you call it, 相声, crosstalk.
Right, crosstalk.
It's more about the word of play on word. It's basically a trained skill. Like they're crazy about like the students receive the training from a very young age, from a master.
A lot of tongue twisters. A lot
twisters.
Acting, singing,
right.
Yeah, dancing.
But there's not necessarily is like one short joke after another. So the Western audience coming to China watch the Chinese comedy just get lost because they don't know what's happening there. So there's maybe they're gonna 5 minutes of setting up. There's no punchline. What's going on? And everybody enjoy that. Yeah. So it's different.
No, there's a lot of cultural things hidden in the crosstalk. I mean, you cannot understand the Chinese. Just like if I listen to Seinfeld, the most famous stand-up comedian. I mean, I can laugh at some of his jokes, but a lot of it is lost because I didn't grow up in that.
Because you
culture.
have different lives.
Yeah,
and also there's references like the popular references, like the musicians or a sub-series or the food.
A lot of things the American audience don't have to be explained. They would understand it.
Right. But for 相声, that's different. That's different. It's not only about the reference; it's about the form of art.
It's also
it's more about storytelling.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily make you funny all the time. But which is so different from stand-up comedy. Stand-up comedy is a fast food culture, right? I throw something and expect something back.
Yeah.
It's a very risky way of doing comedy.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows if you fail or make it. But for 相声, first of all, it's mostly acted by two men, right? So it's kind of like a safe art of performance. And also, they just show off their skills, and people appreciate that. This is like you do your thing and then just watch it. But for stand-up, you have to really relate to the audience live.
Yeah.
And that's real. That's realism in the stand-up comedy.
You talk about politics a lot. You joke about, for instance, the U.S. President Donald Trump a lot.
On my show, on my video.
On your show, on your video. Why do you choose to do that?
Because it's a worldwide focus. Since everybody is talking about the election in the States, and people all want to know what might be the direction of the States and the whole world, because it's uncertainty. So yeah.
What was your last joke about Donald Trump?
I received an interview from a CNN, and they asked me, what do Chinese people think about Donald Trump? I don't know. I just can only speak for myself. I said, politicians in China always play safe. But Donald Trump is this guy who is over straightforward, right? He's like the bad guy. He's like the guy who goes for a blind date and open by asking the girl, would you like to have sex with me? That's Donald Trump to me.
Oh, really? And did the reporters find it funny?
Yeah, they reported. And not reported to the government, but they just get it released.
Yeah. This is also a totally new subject in China. I mean, satire with a political favor to it. You want to continue doing that? You have a plan to? You think it's a future to explore? Or?
I'm not sure about the Chinese market because, but for our comedy club, humor section, it's growing at an astonishing rate for the past 3 years. I mean, like in China, we're talking about Chinese audience. Actually, Chinese audience is a very complicated concept. It was like when I was in Ireland, people asked me, oh, what's the weather like in China? I was like, man, you're talking about the weather in Europe, in the entire Europe. I mean, China is too huge to be the same. You can't ever expect the one single thing. We just can't think it as simple as the Chinese audience, because China has like first cities of Beijing, Shanghai, also have like second tier cities, and also have the rural areas, which the audience are so much different. I mean, like even in a country where people only drink tea, Starbucks can make it. So stand-up comedy has a chance, has an opportunity. And we have an increasing number of Chinese students going overseas and study and working experiences overseas. They are our target audiences.
Do you do stand-up comedy to Chinese-speaking audience as well, in Chinese?
Yes,
I do. But it's not crosstalk.
It's not crosstalk.
It's stand-up comedy in Chinese.
It's a Western format of a stand-up comedy, and to the Chinese audience. This is what I've been talking about. Like we've been doing the comedy club. It's Chinese speaking comedy club mainly, and probably the best in China. And we got our fans. We got packed shows every month. But even though it's just 2 packed shows every month, but they're crazy about it. They feel like they're well related and connected with the performers. Not like watching like other play or crosstalk. They just sit down there and there's a distance.
The atmosphere is different.
Yeah, and they can get involved into the performance. That's why they're crazy about that.
Yeah, fascinating. Thank you so much, Tony Chou, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Xin.
All the very best.
Yeah, wish you a happy New Year and Spring Festival.
Thank you to you as well.
Yeah, thank you.